All right, so what if I told you there was a way to predict the future? Well, not the future, but the future of a product. Today, we're going to crack open the engineer's crystal ball. It's this really powerful, systematic method that the world's top companies use to literally look into the future of something they're building, figure out all the ways it could fail, and then stop that failure before it even happens. It's called failure mode and effects analysis, or FMEA for short, and it's how the best of the best stay one step ahead of disaster.
You've seen this a million times, right? You turn on the news and there it is, a massive car recall. Or maybe it's that brand new phone that's suddenly overheating. These things aren't just an inconvenience. No, they are hugely expensive, they can absolutely trash a company's reputation, and sometimes they're just plain dangerous. The big question is always, could they have seen this coming?
And that brings us to the high cost of failure. Because for any company that builds, well, pretty much anything, trying to prevent these problems isn't just a good idea, it's a critical, high-stakes game. You know, the cost of getting it wrong, it's not just about money. It's about customer trust, it's about safety, and at the end of the day, it's senior management who has to take responsibility for these risks.
So what if you could flip the script? I mean, think about it. We all know what a postmortem is, right? It's when you get together after a disaster to figure out what went wrong. But what if you did a pre-mortem? Before you've even built a single thing, you get the whole team in a room and you say, okay, let's pretend this a year from now, and this product has completely failed. How did it happen? That way of thinking, that proactive mindset, is the absolute core of what we're talking about today.
And that brings us to the official name for this whole process: failure mode and effects analysis, or FMEA. Now, this isn't just some vague idea, it's a formal methodology. The official definition comes from a handbook created by a task force in the auto industry. And the key words to grab onto here are team-oriented and systematic. So this is not one engineer sitting in a dark room guessing what could go wrong. It's a structured, repeatable process for a whole team of experts to get together and dig into the potential technical risks.
So let's get into the nitty-gritty of thinking about what goes wrong. How does this actually work in the real world? Well, FMEA gives you a formal structure, a framework really, to think through literally everything that could possibly go haywire, way before a single part ever gets made.
This quote from the handbook really says it all, doesn't it? FMEA is meant to be a before-the-event action. It's not an after-the-fact exercise where everyone's pointing fingers. The whole philosophy is about being proactive, not reactive. Because think about it. The earlier you can find a potential problem, like when it's still just a drawing on a screen, the easier and, let's be honest, the cheaper it is to fix.
And when we say it's a team effort, we really mean it. FMEA is a total team sport. Its success completely depends on getting a whole mix of experts into one room. You've got your design engineers, the system engineers, the folks who actually have to test this thing, and you absolutely need the manufacturing engineers, the ones who know how it's going to be built on the factory floor. Throw in some quality experts, reliability gurus, and project managers, and you've got your team. Everybody's got to be there, sharing what they know.
Okay, so this isn't just one big brainstorming meeting. FMEA is a super structured process. It's actually a 7-step method, and that structure is there for a reason, to make sure nothing gets missed and the whole analysis is done in a really thorough, logical way. Let's walk through the roadmap.
So you see the 7 steps here on the screen, and it might look a little intimidating. But a really easy way to think about it is to break it down into 3 main phases. First, you plan. That's step 1, getting everything ready. Then you spend a big chunk of time in the analyze phase. That's steps 2 through 5, where you're digging into the structure, functions, failures, and risks. And finally, you act. That's where you optimize the design and document everything you found. So just remember, plan, analyze, act. Simple.
Now let's zoom in on that analyze part, because the real core of this whole thing is something called the failure chain. This is the central logic of FMEA. It's all about connecting the dots, creating a clear line from some tiny, almost hidden little cause all the way to the big, frustrating problem that a customer is going to experience. Okay, so the chain always starts with what's called the failure cause. This is the root of the problem, the very beginning of the domino effect. We're going to use a real example from the official FMEA handbook. It's about the motor in a car's power window. So the cause here is a super small component, a brush card, that gets bent.
I mean, it sounds so minor, right? A little bent piece of metal, but just watch what happens next.
So that tiny bent piece leads to the next link in the chain, the failure mode. The mode is how the product itself actually messes up because of that cause. So in our power window example, that bent part makes the motor's commutation system start connecting the wrong electrical coils. The motor is now basically misfiring on the inside. It's not working the way it was designed to. And that leads to the final and maybe most important piece of the puzzle, the failure effect. This is what the user, the customer, actually sees and feels. So, because our motor is firing on the wrong coils, it just doesn't have enough juice, not enough power. And what does that mean for the driver? It means their power window is frustratingly slow. And boom, there you have it. The failure chain shows you a direct line from a tiny bent part deep inside the door all the way to a super annoyed driver. That's the magic of it.
Now, this kind of analysis isn't just a one-shot deal. It's a bit more nuanced than that. FMEA actually makes teams look at potential failures from two very different angles: the product's design versus the process used to build it.
Yeah, you can think of it like two sides of the same coin. On one side, you've got Design FMEA, or DFMEA for short. This is all about the blueprint. It asks the question, is the design itself any good? Is it strong? Or is there a flaw baked right into the plan? But then you flip the coin over, and you've got Process FMEA, or PFMEA. This asks a totally different question. Okay, the design is perfect, but can we actually build it correctly and consistently on the assembly line? Because you can have the most brilliant design in the world, but if your manufacturing process is a mess, you're still going to end up with a bad product. You absolutely need to do both.
All right, so imagine your team does a great job. A really thorough FMEA can spit out hundreds, maybe even thousands of these potential failure chains. You obviously can't fix every single one. That's where the real genius of this system comes in. It's all about how it helps teams prioritize the real risks and focus their energy on the stuff that actually matters.
And they do this using 3 key ratings, what people in the biz just call SOD. For every single failure chain they identified, the team has to rate 3 things. First, severity, or S. How bad is the final effect for the customer? Is it just annoying, or is it a major safety issue? Second, occurrence, or O. How likely is the root cause to even happen in the first place? And third, detection, or D. What are the chances we can catch this problem before the product ever leaves the factory? And each of these gets a score from 1 to 10.
1,000. 10 times 10 times 10. That's how many possible combinations of risk you can get from those SOD ratings. Now, for decades, engineering teams tried to make sense of this by just multiplying the 3 numbers together. They'd get what's called a risk priority number, or RPN. But that turned out to be a really flawed way to do it. Think about it. A small, harmless problem that happens all the time could get the exact same RPN score as a catastrophic safety failure that's super rare. That's not good. You're not comparing apples to apples.
So to fix that big problem, the modern FMEA standard brought in something much smarter: action priority, or AP. Instead of just one meaningless number, AP uses a whole logic table behind the scenes. Based on the specific combination of S, O, and D, it tells the team exactly what to do. This risk is high, medium, or low priority. And if something gets flagged as high, that's not a suggestion. It means the team must take action to lower that risk, or at the very least, formally justify why they aren't. This totally cuts through the noise and forces everyone to focus on the most severe stuff first.
So you go through all this systematic, structured, and, let's be real, sometimes really difficult work. What's the point? What's the big payoff? Well, the impact is literally all around us. It's in the products we trust and rely on every single day without even thinking about it.
The bottom line is, doing FMEA right leads to safer, more reliable products for you and me. For the companies making them, yeah, it means fewer massive, expensive recalls and warranty claims. But it's actually bigger than that. It helps build a company culture that's all about proactive quality, where teams feel empowered to constantly make things better. It gives them the confidence to push the envelope, to try new technologies, because they know they have a solid process in place to handle the risks. So in the end, FMEA is so much more than just some checklist for engineers. It's really a mindset. It's a structured way of looking to the future, anticipating what could go wrong, and then acting to prevent it before it happens. This is how we build a safer, more reliable world, one product at a time. And that kind of leaves you with a final thought, doesn't it? If this works so well for cars and electronics, what other complex systems in your life or in the world could benefit from this kind of proactive what-if thinking?